Let's see, before the course, definitely burned out, isolated, just kind of given up hope that I would actually be able to make this thing go. I had so many closed doors and didn't think like the church community would actually value what I had to offer. Well, I loved engaging in all of the different art forms and watching the videos, and it definitely stretched me in a few things and hooked me back into some of the roots of why I love making art with God so much. But I think the biggest takeaway is that I was super validated through this course, that my ways of knowing God and interacting with God through art are totally valid. Others experience the same thing, and there really is legit power in that is worthy of being shared. And then it also gave me the courage to collaborate with some people. And while you watch this, I will be in Thailand and Laos sharing this book. So thank you, everyone.
This course surprised me in the way it exceeded my expectations of personal insights and hearing from God. As part of this course, we were invited to join Emerge and to create an I Love Art journal that had us drawing from our imaginations, real life, and artists who inspire us. I was studying a portrait by Anna when I realized that the color that drew me in reality, was a very small portion of the piece. Most of it was neutral, and it was the darks that really mattered. The darks anchored it, gave it depth, and allowed those vibrant colors to pop. The colors we so often want in our lives may not actually be what we assume. In Lesson 1, What is Art Ministry?, God reminded me that maybe all the things I've been trying to make happen weren't working out because He already had me where He wants me. He seemed to be inviting me to pause, to slow down, and see. To invite others in, help them tell their stories, and feel seen by Him. Lesson 2 was about loving through serving, and my ahas were questions. What if I want you more free to create? What if I'm not asking you to organize and lead, but to participate? What if instead of creating a structure, you simply created a space where others were welcome to join you as you create? Which flowed right into Lesson 3 and the inspirational TED Talk by Phil Hansen, Embrace the Shake. Could it be that our limits are catalysts for creativity? How do our limits, money, supplies, training, sight, paralyzation, awkwardness, etc., help us see things differently and focus on the process of creating instead of the final product? Could this help us get back to the original joy we found in creation, of strolling through the garden with God and listening for how His heart beats for us? In response to one of my posts for Lesson 4, Elizabeth wrote, "They cannot see the beauty of God's creation, even in themselves. We're here to bring them back to their first love. They may be blinded or feel lost and afraid in the dark, but God, His peace and beauty are there. For those of us who know this, the darkness is not scary. We can walk alongside them and help them see it too. It's going to be amazing to watch their transformations when they see it for themselves, when they experience His presence is with them in the dark." One way we can do this is by beginning to personally see God's beauty in ourselves and let that be reflected in our art and life. I keep hearing God calling me to connect more with my own heart and with Him to create more personal art. My interviews with artists in Lesson 5 again confirmed the need to create space instead of structure. A safe place for artists to come together, be loved, make art, and wrestle crocodiles together. We use the art process to help us wrestle with and deepen our understanding of God and Scripture. Lesson 6 had me slowing down and playing with photography, something I haven't done for quite a while. Focusing on the formal elements of art had me seeing details of beauty in the world around me everywhere. My grandpa's advice, "The film is the cheapest thing, take lots of pictures," was enhanced with, "In the mess, you'll find a gem." This applies to art and to life. Watching Justin and Andrew improvise together with piano and tap shoes, and Pastor Freeman dance with his wife in Lesson 7 brought joy back to the concept of practice. You actually learn in the place where you trip, so don't be afraid to fall. Learn to get up. Learn to catch yourself, said Andrew. And I loved Pastor Freeman's comment about leadership. Dance, don't wrestle. give them permission to do what they already know how to do. May I learn to lead from my core, my heart, with grace. Lesson 8 was all about invitation, and that week the Lord literally had 2 different people invite me on mission trips. What an excellent reminder that art ministry doesn't have to happen inside the church walls. There is more to the art than the surface image. Lesson 9 was so affirming of what I do professionally as an art therapist. Edward Hirsch reminded us that there has never been a culture without art, music, poetry, etc. The arts must be delivering something we really need. And Captain Jason Brenner confirmed that when he shared, "Every time I did something with art therapy, I felt better. There was something in me that was dying to come out, and through art, I was able to express it." Lesson 10 and 11 got me back to my charcoal drawing roots of being free to make masks and let the image come to life. Just enjoy making art. Practice is the destination, and we have an eternity to make art, was the gentle teaching of Dean Estes. I also love Jesse reminding us that blind contour drawings do have a purpose. They help us learn to see details more clearly and accurately. And then Dean added, the connections aren't made on the paper, they're made in your brain. There's always more to learn, and the color theory in Lesson 12 confirmed that. Shadows are the opposite or complement of the light color. In other words, they are not black, they are the absence of the light. As I did the color exercises, I heard God say, "Go outside the lines." Then he brought a lesson into my week. It was about catching the essence of a moment by adding simple lines of ink to blobs of color. I cannot explain the freedom and joy that I'm feeling right now. Moments of freedom, renewal, transformation, and ministry can come in so many ways. I was so energized to consider how writing could be integrated into ministry in Lesson 13, and then to read Heather Stern's comment about James Gurney and his Plain Air group doing ministry without intention by going to paint what they saw in the worst part of town. God's power and love move through us when we just make art. When we show people that we see them, value them, and find beauty in them, we are tangible evidence that God sees, values, and loves them right where they are. He is truly the God who sees. As Hagar, in a time of great desperation, said in Genesis 16:13, "I am going to call you the God of seeing, because in this place I have seen the one who watches over me, who sees me with understanding and compassion." Lesson 14 challenged us to write poetry. I resisted at first since I've got several negative experiences with poetry in my past, but once I did it, I realized the importance of having specific instructions for participants. The power of minimizing words to lead others on the journey had me seeing things in a whole new way. Gut punched me with validation in Lesson 15, Mike Freeman. God is a living, breathing, speaking being. Don't let your dissecting mind disembowel your experience of Him or His Word. Fully experience Him and let that affect all you do, from your guts and your core to your heart to your mind and outward. To use another image, we can examine and explore and know all the sciencey facts of an orange, or we can touch, smell, and taste an orange to know it. I want to know God the second way. I want to help others know God that way too. To accept the invitation out of bondage from the darkest caves of life. To trust Him so fully that we never consider returning to that self-protecting place of hiding from or holding back from God, but living boldly and beautifully in His light. To use our deepest ways of knowing, experiencing, exploring, and expressing ourselves to connect with God, even when others don't understand or even condone and mock us. God broke His body to break us free. Let's break our alabaster jars and surrender and worship and see what beautiful things He will do as we draw near to Him and allow Him to protect us. Lesson 16. videoing ourselves as we perform scripture as spoken word? No way. I'm a behind the scenes kind of gal. But perhaps this is part of the breaking, part of risk-taking worship and letting Him protect me, of trusting His opinion over all others. I love this idea of layering scripture and experiencing its depth and narrative. It is alive because He is alive and engaging in our lives today. Learning to see from new perspectives, to have veils pulled back and bonds broken, to experience God's truth and presence in fresh, deep, transforming, and tangible ways. This is what making art with God can do. It can give us new eyes to see everything differently.